So when we first started our science with weather, we looked at our puddle. So what happened to that puddle? And our case that happened is 4 friends were walking to school. They noticed a big puddle on the sidewalk. An hour later, so how much time has passed?
16 minutes.
An hour later, the puddle was gone. They wondered where the water in the puddle went, and this is what they said. Henry said it just dried up and it does not exist anymore. Raise your hand if you originally agreed with Henry. This is who you would have written down. Sophia said it went to the sky and now it's part of the cloud. Raise your hand if you originally agreed with Sophia that it went into the sky and now it's part of the cloud. Fabulous. Hands down. Peyton said it went into the air around us. Raise your hand if you agree with Peyton. Fabulous. Hands down. And Micah, it went into the river or lake. And that was the one I told you years past. Like, that was the most common answer. So you guys already have more background on how really the water cycle works, and you know that it didn't just go into a river or lake. Now, if it was on a hill and it was right there, could it?
Yes.
But we're just seeing this like puddle on the sidewalk, and we're wondering what happened to it. So I want you to think about it again, and I want you to revisit, who do you agree with on here? Who is it? Who do you want to agree with now? You are welcome to change your answer in your brain, and we're just going to share our thinking in a little bit. So rethink it. How many of you changed your thinking? Good, so a good amount of you changed your thinking. So if you agree with Henry now, raise your hand. Okay, so we've gone from a handful of you to agreeing with Henry that it dried up and it does not exist anymore to no one. No one thinks that the water doesn't exist anymore. Do we know what happens to water when it dries up?
Yeah.
That's that evaporation piece, right? So yeah, Henry is not right. Raise your hand if you now agree with Sophia. So it went up into the sky and is now part of a cloud. Good, that is a much better prediction. Good, hands down though. Peyton, it went up into the air around us. A few people are still there. And then no one agreed with Micah anyway. I love where your guys' thinking is. We are all now either with Sophia or Peyton. Both of those ideas are great ideas, knowing that once the puddle's sitting there, what part of the water cycle needs to happen?
It went into the air around us.
What is that called when it goes into the air?
Evaporation.
It's going to have that evaporation piece where it's evaporating. It's going up in the air. Now, if only an hour passed, do you think it's had time to go up, form water droplets, and become a cloud?
Yeah.
Probably not. So I think that's the important part that we're seeing is that the evaporation, if an hour has passed, Zena, the evaporation part has happened. The water has gone up into the air around us, but it has not yet probably had the time to form the water droplets in the sky. And the water droplets, the water vapors are what come together to form clouds. So it went up to the sky and it's now part of a cloud. It's probably not to that part yet. Would I call that a completely wrong answer? No, because then you're at least seeing what the water cycle is doing. But with only an hour passing, Peyton's probably more correct, where it's in the air around you and it's working its way up because it's in that evaporation phase. Does that make sense? But both of those are showing those understanding of what the water cycle is. I want to look at some pictures. We went to the beginning of the year. Fabulous. Remember these pictures? In these pictures, we had 6 pictures that showed us different type of weather. And you guys had a good understanding or a good idea of what was happening in each of these weather instances. But what we're going to do is I'm going to assign you a picture, and you're going to describe what you think would have had to happen for this weather to take place. So think about temperature change. Think about what would happen to the wind. Think about what kind of clouds would have to show up in order for this to happen, these types of weather to happen. And you're going to be with your group just having a discussion about it. Sound good? And then you're going to do a quick presentation on what do you think would happen, just a normal, boring day, what would have to change in order for these weather instances to occur. Sound good? So I'm going to give you partners, and then we'll do a quick presentation, and then we'll move on to our next piece. Sound good? Fabulous.